I want to share with y'all how I successfully raise sweet potatoes. I keep that process going from year to year with sweet potato slips and never ever have to buy sweet potato slips or sweet potatoes again. I've got several things to do around the farm today, so we're gonna head off and I'm gonna show you a little bit of what I'm doing today, and then we're gonna jump right into it and I'm gonna show y'all my sweet potatoes, 2-year-old sweet potatoes, 1-year-old sweet potatoes, and my brand new sweet potato slips. One of the things that has to be done is weeding the strawberry bed. If I'm honest, the no-till beds are a love-hate relationship. I love them because I'm able to preserve all of the life, obviously, that's under the ground because I'm not tilling it. It's a hate relationship because if you're not tilling, you're doing it by hand. And of course you can see I have asparagus on one side that I'm trying to hold back. I have a timer set because I know that if I get too distracted, I'll forget to stop and do other chores. I'm gonna use my hand and finish out this row, and then we're gonna stop and I'll hit the rest of them another day. But it is definitely a chore to always come out and try to keep the grass out of the no-till beds. And I have some beautiful strawberries. We actually did weed fabric around the outside of these strawberry beds too, and that was to help keep the grass, when we do have to mow grass and weed eat, that it doesn't throw it so far in my strawberry beds, because that just makes it harder. I went up to get eggs, but 2 of my breeding female, my does for my rabbits, had babies today. I'll have to take y'all up there. I did not have my camera with me, but I'll have to take y'all up there and show y'all our babies. They're precious, not including the 3 that we've adopted from inside that was given to us by some locals that found the babies and couldn't find the mama. So 2 had babies, 1 had 8. They're solid black, cute, cute, cute. She is a first time deliverer here. And our other mama, she is our oldest mama. She had 3. She had a tan, a white, and a black, and they are absolutely adorable. But now I want to talk to y'all about sweet potatoes, because you can be completely self-sufficient with sweet potatoes, especially if you're in the South where we're at and it is really, really hot, and these things grow just amazing. With sweet potatoes, I want to tell y'all what I have done, my whole story on sweet potatoes. We had a gentleman share with us a couple of vines that looked like this. They were a little bit bigger. He basically just cut them off from his sweet potato vines. I planted those, had plenty enough for us to harvest for that season. But what I also did is kept my sweet potatoes. And my sweet potatoes that following year looked like this. Sweet potatoes need to be planted for us anywhere in our area. We're zone 8B. We put in the ground in May. I know for a lot of y'all it's just kind of ending spring for y'all. We're considered summer here in the South already. So when it is summer in your area is when you want to go ahead and put your sweet potato slips in the ground. Now we have a long stretch of time where it stays really, really hot. So that is what sweet potatoes need. If you have a very short window of time where it is not really warm, sweet potatoes may not do the best for you. You could possibly consider something like a hot house or a greenhouse or some type of grow box that you could make to keep that heat trapped inside, because that is what they like. The thing with sweet potatoes, they want to be planted when it's hot, and when you dig them out, they have to be cured out hot as well. So that would be something that you would have to bring indoors, put them in the sunshine when your heat is on in your house, whatever that looks like for you. For me, we dig them up right before the first frost comes. I dig them up, then I take them to my greenhouse, because I know if I shut the door, even though we may have some nights that get down to freezing during the day, it's still gonna warm up to be pretty hot. Our temperatures fluctuate to drastic amounts of difference here in the South. Right when you dig them up, the skins on the sweet potatoes, if you rub them, it's gonna kind of like tear the skins. So when we talk about curing out it for 2 weeks, that skin basically is gonna harden off And that's what you need to do to dig up your sweet potatoes when you plant them, dig them up, and how you would cure them out. Now I want to share the secret with you to how to always have sweet potatoes. I always keep a batch back for me that we don't eat all of them. Now this past year and the year before that, we were abundantly blessed in both seasons. We could not eat all the sweet potatoes, so I had plenty enough in a pile just pushed off to the side. In January for us, January to February, I start noticing these little slips growing off. All you have to do when you start seeing those, I leave mine alone until a couple of weeks before I'm ready to start putting these slips in the ground. I leave them alone and let them grow these slips. Here's something pretty interesting as well. This one is actually 2 years old. Now we didn't eat this. I would normally chop something up like this because it's not a good full size. Either I leave it for this purpose. This 2-year-old sweet potato is still putting off slips, y'all. That is pretty amazing. Normally I would just chop these up and make like sweet potato fries or something like that to put in the oven. But on the ones that I have selected that I know, hey, I have enough of these, select a few back, not the big ones that, you know, we're gonna make good sweet potatoes to bake in the oven to eat. One that might not be your best choice to pick and eat. So this little kind of skinny one, of course I don't want to chuck it, I want to utilize it. So this was set aside. It gave me sweet potatoes last year, and it is still giving me sweet potatoes this year. So I said all that to say this. Some people will say, why don't you just put your sweet potatoes in water? Or why don't you just put your sweet potatoes in the ground and let them do their thing there? You can. There are a number of ways, really, y'all. There's a number of ways that you can go about doing to get your sweet potato slips or get your sweet potatoes to grow in. And I'm not saying that any of those ways are wrong, but what I am saying is with this way, I have a 2-year-old sweet potato that, one, I didn't put in water, because if I put it in water over a period of time, it's going to eventually ruin. So I have gotten sweet potato slips off, yes, but only for that period of time. This sweet potato is 2 years old. I'm going to take it back upstairs when I get done with it. It still has some really nice growth on it. I'm not chunking this thing. This thing is still giving me sweet potatoes. So yes, you can put it in water. Yes, you can put it in the ground. But once you do that, you don't have the sweet potato anymore. Let these grow off for 2 years, and I'm still collecting the slips from this 2-year-old potato. This is a 1-year-old potato. This one and this one right here is a 1-year-old potato. These are ones that we harvested last year. Now that goes to show you my very next step. With this sweet potato right here, once you got your sweet potato, you got your slips, you grew your potatoes, you cured them out properly, now they're growing off these slips. This is what you want to do next. This is very, very easy. Right where it's connected to the sweet potato, you're just going to come in with your fingers and you're just going to wiggle that out. It's really that easy. You're just going to wiggle that out. On this one right here, I'm literally just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take my finger to right where it's connected and literally just wiggle it out. So now I have 2 slips right here. So this is what I do. My next step is put them in a little jar. These are some that I've had for probably about a week or 2, and you're gonna see what happens. Now you can actually take these just like this and put right in the ground. The only thing with that is you have to be very diligent to keep that soil moist so that your roots can establish. So for me, just because I have so much stuff going on, it just makes sense to drop mine down in water, let them root. Then that way I don't have to be as diligent as making sure that the soil stays moist here in the hot south. But yes, these can go right into the ground if you want them to. You just have to be diligent to make sure that the ground stays moist so that those roots can get established. Once you drop them down and they get roots, you can go ahead and stick them in the ground, keep them pretty wet, but not like if you did not have roots. Now these should have probably already been in the ground, but this is going to eventually turn into this. And of course, you see I have a very nice root system. I will literally just take these apart. I'm actually going to do this today take these apart and plant them in the ground. I have this cup and this cup and this cup, and you can see that it works very well. The system works very well. I will just gently separate those and get these into the ground. I will get the ground really wet this afternoon, let it stay wet this afternoon, do it again the next day and the next day, making sure that ground stays real wet just for a couple of days until the roots realize it's their new home. And then literally the process just starts over. Everything that I just explained, you're gonna dig your potatoes up, make sure you keep some back so that you can get those slips off the next year, and the cycle never runs out. It never runs out as long as you keep your sweet potatoes, as long as you cure them outright. You will always be able to have sweet potatoes and grow slips from those sweet potatoes. Your slips grow potatoes, your potatoes grow slips. It's just this beautiful circle of life with the sweet potatoes, even if the thing is 2 years old. So yes, there are many ways to do it. So there are many ways that you can, this system works. It's almost foolproof. You just have to know what you're doing and say, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like I said, there are different ways that you can do it. This is just what works best for me, because I know that I can have sweet potatoes that are 2 years old that are still giving me slips. Now, most of them are playing out, but I do have about 10 to 15 up there that are still giving me slips. Some of them have slips on there. They're just real dried out. They basically died, but knowing that I can still get slips from potatoes that are 2 years old, I just don't want to ruin this potato. So that's the reason why I do what I do. It is this beautiful circle of nutrient giving, and it really is a beautiful thing. So I challenge you, if you get sweet potato slips, or if somebody gifts you with sweet potatoes that grow well in your area, let them sprout those slips and get those slips. Just gently take them off like I told y'all. Put them down in some water. Keep your sweet potato, because it will keep on giving, and the more it gives you slips, the more sweet potatoes you get, which ultimately means the more slips you're gonna have, which ultimately means the more sweet potatoes you're gonna have.